Hello and welcome to Vegan Cafe 21. Today we are making a very creamy, nutty millet pudding. So let's get started. We will need half a cup of washed pearl millet, half a cup of sliced almonds. If you don't have sliced almonds, you can soak whole raw almonds in hot water for 2 hours, peel them, and then you can slice them and use them as well. In this bowl, I have half a cup of sweetened dried cranberries, quarter cup of raisins. You can choose golden raisins, black raisins, whatever you have on hand. A quarter cup of pistachios. These are unsalted pistachios that I'm going to chop. In this mortar, I have some green cardamoms that I'm going to pound open and then grind the seeds. So we'll use about a quarter teaspoons of cardamom seed powder. We'll also add 2 tablespoons of raw sugar. This is raw cane sugar. 1 tablespoon of rose water. In this bowl, I have 8 dates that I have soaked in warm water for 2 hours. If your dates have pits in them, we are going to remove the pits before we add them to our food processor to create a date puree. To create the puree, I'm going to use 1 cup of almond milk. For the base of the pudding, we are going to add 4 cups of almond milk, unsweetened almond milk, to our pearl millet to get the pudding going. So let's start preparing our pudding. On the stovetop, I have a pot that I have put on heat. To this pot, I'm going to add our washed pearl millet. To this, I'm going to add 4 cups of our almond milk. Give it a stir and we are going to let it come to a boil. All right, so our almond milk and millet have started to boil, so I'm going to turn the heat low now and add our powdered cardamom seed to this pot. Give it a stir. And now we are going to put a lid on this pot and let it cook for at least 30 minutes. We'll come back after 30 minutes and check to see if our millet is done. While our millet is cooking, let's prepare our date puree. So we'll get to our dates. Make sure there are no pits in your dates. You can kind of break them apart like this before adding them to your food processor. You can use a knife to chop them. My dates have pits in them, so I'm going to carefully remove all the pits and keep adding them to my food processor. Add some of the water that the dates were soaking in and give them a pulse. Keep adding the water. Okay, so this is what our puree looks like. Now it's important to break apart each date for the ease of pulsing. You can use your knife to do so. So this puree still can use some liquid, so I'm going to go ahead and add half a cup of almond milk to it and give it a quick pulse. Perfect. Let's check with our millet. Looks good, nice and creamy. Millet is cooked nicely. Now when you initially cover this pot, make sure you don't cover it tightly shut. Leave it cracked open a little bit and stir it every 10 minutes. So now that our pudding is ready, we are going to bring our date puree and add it to this and mix it in. Now, depending on how thick you like your pudding, you can add almond milk to thin it out as much as you prefer. For me, it's still quite thick, so I'm going to add all of it and give it a good mix. Now I'm going to add our 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/4 cup of raisins, and cranberries. I'm going to reserve some cranberries to garnish our pudding, and also save half of the almonds for garnishing as well. And now we add our 1 tablespoon of rose water. And it's that simple. Let's give it a quick taste test. Very good. Very creamy, rich, nutty. Awesome. Now we're going to let it come to a boil once again after we add all our nuts, dates, rose water. And once it comes to a boil, we'll then turn the flame off and plate it. Now we'll garnish it with our reserved almonds, cranberries, and pistachios. You can adjust the sweetness to your liking. It is a very balanced pudding. A lot of sweetness comes from the raisins, the dates, and sweet and tart cranberries. That's why we only added 2 tablespoons of raw sugar to it. However, if you like a sweeter pudding, feel free to add either more dates or more sugar. If you like, you can also add the pistachios in the pot while it's boiling, at the same time when you're adding other nuts to it. But I prefer to use them just for garnish. There you have it, a vegan nutty millet pudding. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please give us a like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon with more vegan versions of our traditional favorites.